Good afternoon. I'm State Representative Lindsay Burke. I am the whip of the House Minority Caucus. We've gathered here this afternoon to call out an appalling lack of transparency this legislative session. It's unfortunately become a common theme, but it's become much worse this session. We want Kentuckians to know that we reject this approach to governance, and we're fighting for your right to simply know what your government is doing and to be able to voice your support or your concern. Just yesterday, we saw a 100-page bill with major income tax changes clear committee and the House before the public could even read it online. Last night, there were 3 rewritten education bills sent to committee members after 8 p.m. Others arrived well after 5. Our members barely know what's in these bills, and the public doesn't know at all. These substitute bills are still not available to the public even now. This morning, committee members were told that less than 30 minutes would be dedicated to a bill that is eliminating protection for our water sources. Representatives were not allowed to ask questions. They were given only 1 minute to explain their vote. At noon today, the Health Services Committee heard bills that will negatively impact access to medical care for Kentuckians. Last week, the bill stopping diversity, equity, and inclusion policies at our public colleges and universities also limited public debate. At each of these meetings, Democrats were there standing up for you. We understand that legislative sessions always rush at the end, but it doesn't have to be like this. Just Friday, 5% of bills had made it through the House and Senate. 250 bills had made it through one chamber. If past odd year sessions were a guide, then 180 bills will be passed within the next 6 days. Too many of them will undergo significant changes that impact your knowledge of what's happening. This is not how government should work. The majority has 80% of the seats in the General Assembly. If they really believe in these measures they're passing, why are they hiding them? Why don't they want you to know what's in them? Kentuckians deserve better than to be kept in the dark. Our caucus, the Democrats, reject this approach. We're here fighting for the public and for you. That's our prepared remarks, and we'd be happy to take any questions.
A question for everybody, whomever wants to answer. These are obviously pretty big concerns. Is there legal action the Minority Caucus can take, or does this all have to be kind of settled when rules are adopted annually?
Well, I don't know if anyone saw, there was an article published earlier today raising open meetings questions about one of the bills we passed just a couple days ago. So there are pending litigation. I don't think that the caucus is planning on undertaking any of our own, but we're depending on our allies and the people in the public to hold us as a body accountable.
What conversations have there been with Republicans to try to, I guess, address these concerns, or what have those conversations looked like?
Well, we've been doing everything we can. And I will say, to the credit of some, we have received a little bit of helpful information here and there. So I won't say that we're left high and dry. For example, with the 108-page substitute we got yesterday, we did get a digested version that was shared with our members in the middle of the night. So we can't say that there's nothing, but is the information we're getting adequate? Absolutely not. And is it what the public needs to be informed about their government and how the government works? Without a doubt, it's completely deficient.
And today, my name is Pam Stevenson, floor leader. Today, I spoke with floor leader Rudy, and he and I are going to sit down over the interim to talk about how we can make this more transparent. He's very open to it, and he has said that he doesn't like it when we do it, and we don't like it when they do it. So we're going to work together to come up with something that works.
Is that a change in dialogue from years past?
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
I can answer that. I'm Al Gentry. I'm the caucus chair of the House Democratic Party. And when I came in 2017, it was standard procedure to have, for an example, a 3-day posting rule when a bill is going to committee. That's very strong. I think we need to seriously consider going back to that, because it gives time for the people to see what is going to committee, give them time to come to committee if they would like to testify even, or if they just would like to express their opinions in the form of a phone call or an email and bring up the concerns. A lot of times, several of the Republican members have been open to altering and amending their legislation when necessary. But when we rush processes and the public do not know what's coming, people that are getting harmed are not letting us know, and there's no way to fix a bill, and we end up coming back and doing so-called cleanup bills later, and that should all be averted.
You said it was worse this year. Is it worse in the sense that there's just more of it, or is there particular cases where they're invoking certain actions that they haven't used before?
I think it's the quantity. The quantity and the speed of what we're seeing right now is unprecedented. The changes are significant. So the substitute bills we're getting often are taking on as many as 7, 8, even 10 new subjects. So it's not like we're just simply tinkering with language. We're adding completely new ideas on unrelated subjects into bills. And there's no way for elected officials to responsibly respond to legislation like that when it's given in the final minutes before session.
When a bill has 2 readings, it has to have 3 readings to come to the floor legally. If the bill has 2 readings and then a substitute is dropped, which significantly changes the bill late at night, and there's an early morning committee meeting, and it goes right to the floor that day, which makes it impossible to file an amendment to that bill and be in order, because there has to be 24-hour notice on an amendment. Well, how can you file an amendment on the bill before the substitute is released? That would be out of order as well. So the process is screwed up, and it's bad for everybody when that happens.
Representative Stevenson, sorry, you had mentioned about talking about the rules themselves. We know that there are, probably upwards of 1,000, if not more, bills proposed in a 30-day session. Are there any discussions about adjusting the calendar or adjusting how those committees go within the calendar system? Because we see committee members saying, we have to keep this to 5 minutes because I got to go to another one. Right. So is there any discussion on that line?
Right now there's not, and I'm sure when I talk with Floor Leader Rudy, we'll look at everything to see what's best to make sure that the government is raised for the people, by the people, to serve the people. He is open to it, and I'm sure we'll delve into that.
Have you all been taking note of how many bills that pass through the House have a public fiscal note attached to the latest version of the bill, and how they seem to be using more and more using something called an estimated impact memorandum instead?
We have not. We've noticed it, but we've not studied it and looked at it to come up with what's a pattern or what we should be looking for. We've just noticed that we don't get the things that the fiscal note.
I think last night at a forum, Jason Nemes said that he would be in support of posting committee subs when they're available to y'all. Is that something you think could actually happen in the future, or do you think that's just talk?
I hope that that's exactly what will happen. The problem is that just today in Health Committee, we had a substitute on a bill that significantly changed the purposes of the bill. One of our members asked if the committee was going to follow a 24-hour rule where subs needed to be given 24 hours in advance. And the chair of that committee said, well, it's just not possible. So, well, it's just not possible. It's not going to work for Kentucky voters and Kentucky citizens who are busy living their daily lives and can't sit and refresh the LRC website every 30 seconds to see what it is we're doing up here. That's not good government. That's not transparency. And even if we do what Rep. Nemes has suggested, it won't be adequate.
Thank you guys for coming. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.